You're listening to Rise to Your Purpose, a personal and spiritual development podcast for female entrepreneurs with a mission.
We're your hosts, Brandie and Natalie.
Welcome to episode 26 of Rise to Your Purpose. In this episode, you're going to get to hear an interview with Heather Dollar, a success coach, and we discuss implementing your faith in your business. So if you're somebody who wants to be more bold, show up more authentically about your faith in your business, this is the episode for you. So we hope you enjoy. Hi friends, thank you guys so much for joining. I'm Brandie here with my sister and co-host Natalie, and we're the creators of the Victorious Entrepreneurs Rising, the Rise to Your Purpose program and podcast. And so our passion is helping entrepreneurs align their values with their business so that they can create a mission-driven business with a kingdom impact. We are so excited to introduce you to our guest tonight, Heather Dollar. Heather is a success coach who helps faith-based online business owners master sales confidence so that they can reach 10K months. Woo-hoo, that's awesome. She's also the host of her own podcast called God and Business. So we're so excited to have you here, Heather. Thank you so much. Today we're talking about incorporating your faith into your business and what that can look like for you. So Heather, thank you so much again for joining our podcast and our live. I would love for you to just let the audience know a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got into the coaching space.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor and a privilege, and I love your guys' podcast and what you're doing and your whole message. So this is super fun. And of course, I love faith. That's all about huge component of what I do. So I am a coach, but I didn't start out that way. I started, I've had an online business for 7 years now, and I started in network marketing. So I built my way to the top of a network marketing company, did that for 4 years, and then I just began to feel this tug in my heart for more. And that began my journey of transitioning into coaching. So that's a little bit of my background. I don't know if you want me to, go right into all the juicy details right now, or kind of
whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, well, I think that is interesting to know, I guess, too, and we kind of share with you, a lot of our viewers are women of faith in network marketing space. And so I think that would be neat to kind of share like a little bit of your experience, or maybe if you could go back, would there be anything that you would do differently, or how would you, maybe some little pieces of advice for people who are doing that now, but then really like, how did you know that God was calling you to become a coach, to kind of sharing that, a little bit of that process or journey? Because I know we've talked to a lot of women who are navigating, like, is God calling me to do this? Or how do I know? And those types of things. I think that would be interesting to really hear.
Yeah, for sure. So I love network marketing. And like I said, I built my way up to the top, but I will say, a really big piece that led me up to really being able to hear that the Lord was calling me to something else was getting to a place of brokenness within my current position. So I was working my way with network marketing. I started to feel a tug for more. Suddenly I was able to just see where I was at, and I just wasn't satisfied, and not because like I wanted more, better, different, but because I didn't really like who I had become. But I had just been too blind to see it. And so I was so frustrated one day. I will never forget this day. This was really a pivotal moment from my life. And I was so frustrated. I had, I don't know, guess probably made some goals, wasn't reaching them, was just frustrated. Like I just had this tug that like God had more, and I just wasn't walking in my potential, and I couldn't really make sense of it. And I just was frustrated. I was just frustrated. And I just remember I was seeking clarity, and just out of like frustration and brokenness, because sometimes, we get so frustrated, it's like all we can do is cry, right? Like we just want to like fall down on the floor and just cry before the Lord. And or at least that's what I do. And that's the place that I was in, because I was so desperate to hear God in that moment, that I just got broken before him. I got vulnerable. And that opened up the door for him to come in and speak to me and me hear him in a way that I had not been able to previously hear him, because I was so focused on the hustle. Yep. And I do not believe that the hustle mentality is from the Lord. I believe that is a worldly mentality that is projected on us and pressured on us. And I fell prey to it. I'm, not ashamed to admit that. And if you're listening to this and you feel that I'm doing that too, like, don't feel guilty. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but it is something to be convicted about, because it's not from God. And it was just draining the life out of me, hearing people telling me that I needed to sacrifice time with my children, and it was okay because it was just temporary and it's for them. Like, it just didn't feel right. And sacrificing my health and sacrificing my sleep, and just making all these sacrifices because it was temporary, and it was, it was for them, and it was only going to, and it lasted for, I was doing this for 4 years, and like, they never went away. Like, I had to keep, you know what I mean? Like, this was an ongoing thing. And I realized what the Lord began to show me and reveal to me, that it's a mentality. And so I was stuck in this hustle mentality, and I didn't like it. And so that was part of what led to my frustration, is just letting, them know that, letting me know that this is not for me. Right. And so I had to, that's part of what led me to that moment of frustration, of just being tired of those sacrifices, being tired of feeling like I was having to work 24/7 to be successful. And I wanted to be successful, but it got to the point where I was even questioning, like, man, is that even like from you? Is this even what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, and it was all because of that hustle mentality that I felt pressured into, and that the enemy had me trapped in. And so when I got to this place with the Lord, I just like ugly cried on the floor. I was crying out, Lord, like, what is it? What do you want me to do? What is it? And that's where he showed me that, that I had to break free from this hustle mentality, and I truly had to put him first. And like, girls, I had really honestly thought that I had been putting him first. I was looked up to as a godly leader. I, prayed over my business. My faith was pretty strong. I was trusting him, but it wasn't until he was taking me to this new level that I realized how I really was hustling and just praying that he would support me along the way and provide that next step. But I was hustling. Like, I was making it about me and trying to figure out the how myself. And so as I began to just make that shift from, okay, I'm letting go of the hustle and I'm just pursuing you, Lord. This is just about me and you, just about me and you. And I feel this longing for more than what I'm doing right now. And, and up until this point, I thought, well, is it, I'm supposed to like speak on stages in my network marketing company, or is it like big? And that's when I finally began to get the clarity of like, it's bigger than this. And that, and that's why for me, just getting up on a stage, with the network marketing company, like, that wasn't good enough for me. And it's because that was not where God was taking me. Right. And so I had to be open to that, to that change, first of all, and that shift in thinking. And so from there, I began to just really pray for clarity on, what does this look like for me, Lord? Like, what is this tug? And that's all I can explain. It's like, it's just a tug, right? Just this tug in my spirit of like, you were made for more. You have more potential than this. And I want you to take that step of faith. I want you to reach out. I want you to come to me deeper. And so that's what I did. I just began to full on pursue the Lord. I didn't care about my business. I mean, I cared, but like, I put all of that aside, and I was like, it's you and me, Lord. Here I am, use me. And that was my prayer for probably the next like year. I was like, here I am, Lord, use me. Here I am, Lord, use me. here I am, Lord, use me. And slowly he began to unveil layers in me, right, that had to change and grow, but also what that next step looked like for me. And so I started to transition a little bit into coaching. And I just kind of was doing what looks good on paper, right? Like I'm a really big health nut, and my network marketing business was health and wellness. I had been doing health and wellness coaching for years, like fitness instructors, had certification, like all kinds of stuff. So it just made sense, like, oh, duh, like you should be a health and wellness coach, right? And so I got my first client, which was health and wellness, and I love her. Like she became a business client. We were looking good friends. It's amazing how God uses you in so many ways, with just one little step of faith. But that one little act of obedience into my full potential, right? And so I actually realized that that something about health and wellness just wasn't settling for me. Like it was just, I couldn't quite figure out, like, I'm like, this is not it. Like, this is just not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm trying to make it work. This is not it. And so I just kept taking action, because action produces clarity, and just began to just step out in obedience. And, I really believe as business owners, like, that needs to be the core of what we do, is obedience. What is God calling you to be obedient in, and taking that step, right? And it may not be transitioning into something different. There was a place of recognizing that God has called me to be obedient to him first, right? To pursue my relationship with him. And then second, as a mother and a wife. And when I show up and I'm obedient to those callings first, then I'm going to be more prosperous and abundant and successful in this calling. I'm going to be better at it, right? And so that was a really big paradigm shift, going away from the hustle mentality where it's like sacrifice everything else temporarily until you make it big, right? To, I have to be obedient to this calling first, and this calling first, and then my business comes. And that is going to help catapult me into success in this business. And it all comes from obedience, right? Taking that obedient step in faith, whether it's pursuing, a transition. Like, it was hard to step away from network marketing. I was very successful. I had a team that was counting on me, people that looked up to me, like, and to just walk away from that was hard. It was very hard. And I tried to do both, and got frustrated again. And the Lord said, I want you to give me 21 days of praying for your business for 15 minutes a day. I was like, okay. And by the end of those 21 days, clear as day, I heard him say, not audibly, but just in my spirit, focus. And I just knew he meant I needed to let that go and focus on where he was taking me. And so, was it a leap of faith? Absolutely. Did I have people opposing me? Yes. I was just talking about this with a client today. With perseverance comes opposition. And so I had those people oppose me, my family, like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you not keep doing your network marketing business and bringing that money in to fund this? And my only response was, because that's not what God asked me to do. And I have to walk in obedience. So that's where I that's how I got here today.
That's so inspiring.
Yeah. And I feel like I can totally relate to that, because that's where I was last year. And like, I had to step away and like almost go through a pruning season to step into where I am today. And my husband and I, we adopted our baby in January. And like, I'm like, I don't want to have that hustle mentality. I want to serve God. I want to serve my family and be present and not be sacrificing and for my business that I've worked so hard to be able to just get to this point of having my own family. And so I totally, like, my spirit is just like one with your spirit right now. I feel like I'm like, I get it, sister. Yes. Like, that's exactly where I feel like that journey has been very similar for me. And just stepping back and be like, where does God really have me? And what is that true potential, that calling that we're supposed to be living in? But like you said, we have to take a minute and like actually search and choose to listen to God so that we can hear what his calling is over our life and take those steps of obedience.
Yeah. Well, and I resonated too a lot because your whole story was me, but when I was in teaching, and I thought I was maybe supposed to quit teaching. Like I was just in this place where I'm like, I felt like I was called for more. God was asking me to do more. I didn't really know what that looked like. And for me, it ended up becoming in the answer of starting in network marketing. And that then led me on this whole path of God continuing to reveal to me like where he wanted me and how we got to here today, because God then laid a huge piece because we felt that same thing. We went through that kind of hustle mentality, really working hard, all those things. And then it kind of jumped out at us of like, we need to learn how to operate our business from a place of rest, and that we need to really, if we can share and do so much for our products and our opportunity and our team, we should be able to put as much focus on our relationship with the Lord. And I went through that same phase of like, I could see myself trying to do things out of my own strength. And so really having to step back to really refocus my relationship with Christ and then get in alignment with my businesses and things like that. And so I love that you said, as you were doing that too, like action creates clarity, and like doing things a little differently or trying something new to see where does God want you? Where does he have you? And being okay with like, you might get redirected. And I think sometimes there's the good part about the praying and listening, but sometimes we also have to be kind of taking action through that to know if we are in our calling or not. And I like how you said there's a calling of being a wife and being a mother, because I think sometimes we think, well, we have to find our purpose or find our calling. Well, your calling, you probably already have parts of it, and it's within your family and in your home or whatever else you're doing there. But then you, have a calling within your business. And so really finding what that is and stepping into that. And so I love that you shared that journey. I think so many people will relate to that or have some good, like huge takeaways from that for sure. So,
and it's funny because I make more money now working so many less hours than I did hustling, all those hours and making all those sacrifices, and I'm happier and I'm healthier, and, and so we have to learn to let that go, to walk away from it. And I love how you said a pruning season. And I think that's so key. And you also said you had to take action. And I think that's something that we just can't get confused on, right? Waiting on the Lord to direct our steps, to give us that next step. That doesn't mean that you are sitting stagnant. It doesn't mean that you are being inactive, right? I would have never got where I'm at today. You wouldn't have got where you're at today had you not taken those steps of faith in obedience, right? Obedience takes faith when it comes to the Lord. And as we take action, clarity comes, direction comes, because our faith is growing. We're growing as a person. And if we just sit there waiting, I'm waiting on the Lord. I'm just waiting right now. I'm just in a season of waiting. Like, no, God's waiting on you. God's waiting on you to take action in the direction that he's calling you. You got to work through the fear. You got to work through the unbelief, the limits that you have put on yourself or allowed to be placed on you, limits that you put on God. You got to work through that so you can step in to where that level that he's calling you. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting forever.
Yeah. For me, that was what my pruning season looked like. I was pruning away chaos, noises, voices that were not for me or were just causing confusion, and replacing them with quiet time with God. It wasn't that I quit doing my business or quit trying these new things. Like, we were actually really busy, but I'm like, I'm not going to take on more stuff. I'm going to sit here with what I have and see which direction I need to focus on. Like you said, like, what is that area of focus that God's calling me to? So I think, like you said, there is that clarity of, you can be in a season of waiting and a season of pruning, but it doesn't mean you're just sitting like a bump on a log, not doing anything. It's maybe chaos or voices and trimming away what's not serving you any longer. So how did you decide to incorporate faith in your business? What strategies can you give us? What does that look like for you? And how can we use, what are some advice or tips that we can give to the audience for incorporating and finding their voice of faith in business?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually get this question a lot. And I think it's because I'm very, very open about my faith in my business. Obviously, like, I'm business, and it's just it's who I am.
We loved you.
yeah. But it's just who I am. And so to me, when I get this question, the best answer I can give you is that is just legit who I am. Like if we were to go hang out at the pool, if I was to meet you at, I don't know, the mall or like a girls' night, like that would come out, like I'm not afraid to tell you what I'm trusting God for. Like if you don't know Jesus, I'm not ashamed to tell you that, like, I believe in him, like I just speak what's in my heart. And that's what the word says, right? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so I want that to be an abundance. Like faith is just, I honestly believe it's one of my spiritual gifts too, but I have an abundance of it. And so I literally just cannot refine it. Like I can't hold it in. It's just who I am. It's part of who I am. And there was absolutely no way that I could just not incorporate it. But if that's not how you feel, then that's okay. You just got to be you. And I think what causes, many of us to hold back on how we incorporate our faith is simply feeling afraid of what other people are thinking. And I just don't think that matters, right? Like God has called us to, as a business owner, no matter what you're doing, God has called you to serve and make an impact for him and glorify and honor him. And so if we are not, if we're ashamed to speak the name of Jesus, or if we're ashamed to call ourselves a believer in front of other people, then we're not being obedient to this calling that he's given us, to this gift. Does that mean that you that's all you talk about, or you have to serve Christian or anything? No, absolutely not. But just not minimalizing what's important to you, but showing people that this is important to me, that this is who I am. Like this business is a blessing from him. This business is a gift from him. But it's also, I'm trusting him through this business, and I can't do it alone. But then also, like, how does that play out in all areas of your life, right? Like, where does your faith shine in all areas of your life? And just talking about it, just be open and not ashamed to, speak the gospel.
Yeah, I know. I think we talk about kind of you have to show up authentically you. And so if faith is a part of your life, like not being afraid to let that be part of some of your content too, or what you're posting about. And it doesn't have to be, like you said, everything. No, but I think it does bring a huge piece of you though. And that's how, you can connect with some of the most amazing people, because they're either going to come to you and say, hey, I'd love to know more about your faith. I've had people ask me that. And then I've had people who have just loved that because they're wanting to grow deeper and, and wanting to hear from other people. I know that's why we loved hearing from you, because it was someone who was building their business, an entrepreneur, understood where we were coming from, but also brought in those biblical principles, which can be really hard to find sometimes. And so also surrounding yourself with like-minded people. And so if you are sharing your faith and somebody else wants that, I think that is so great, because then they can connect with you and you can continue to just grow in your impact.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here to share the love of Christ, whether that's through words,
Oh, you're cutting out just a little bit.
That's just like words. We tend to take social media as a like ranting platform, but is that sharing the love of Jesus? Like, you know what I mean? I think as a business owner more than anything, I think we really have to stop and say, like, is this really who I want to be, right? Like, is this sharing Christ? Is this reflecting him? Not to say that I don't ever want to say anything like that. Like, sure, we all have things we want to rant about, but at the end of the day, this business is a gift from God, and we need to use it wisely, and we need to steward it with excellency.
Yeah, no, I love that. Brandon, do you have any other things you want to, or will, like, I know people are definitely going to want to get in touch with you and follow you as well, like we have. Any other questions, Brandon, that you wanted to make sure we covered?
No, I really appreciate your time, Heather, and I can totally agree with your social media. Like, I just pray, like, God, let me speak from the spirit and not from the flesh, because it's hard sometimes to want to speak from the flesh. You're like, this is not how God wants me to show up. So anybody out there listening, watching, if you just pray that prayer if you're struggling with what to post on social media.
Well, and what I have found interesting is times when, because I know sometimes a strategy for business can be plan out your content. And I found that almost stifled me. And so I've just, usually I kind of have an idea what my week might look like. But when I post, it's typically on at the moment. And I feel like because that's when I felt God, like I go by spirit led a little bit. And I noticed that when I do that, that's also when I get the most engagement, is because it's real, it's authentic, it's from the heart, it's something that I'm going through maybe or can relate to somebody. So anytime I think you can make those like connection points with people through your post or a video or whatever it is you're sharing, I think that can be a huge piece as well.
Yes, I love that.
So if people want to find you, I know you have a coaching program and you're on Instagram, I know. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? And if they would like to possibly work with you, can you share a little bit about what you do offer and then how they could get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at God in Business with just the letter N. And then my website is godinbusiness.com. And then I have a business partner, and back in January, we combined our coaching programs and our expertise, and we're able to really just step into really our full potential and able to truly serve in a greater capacity because we complement each other so well. And it was just totally a God thing. People ask me all the time, like, how did that happen? I'm like, it wasn't a God thing. It was totally a God thing. And so we help women simplify their path to six figures, building a business that honors and glorifies the Lord. And so, we have a free template. If you want to download that, you can grab our exact template that we use with our clients at sixfigureoffer.com. But that's how we work with our clients, and you get two expertise at once, and it's really cool. We love what we do. So it's really fun. It's been awesome just to see God take this journey and really just transform the impact and the influence that together we're able to have in people's lives, to serve Him and glorify Him. So yeah, would love to connect with you guys, and Brandie and Natalie, thank you so much for having me on. You guys are so amazing. I love your hearts and just such a supporter of like following God's calling on your life.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate your time for sure. And yeah, definitely all of that information too, you guys, will be in the show notes of the podcast. So definitely check that out. But thank you again. And yeah, we look forward to seeing or having you guys see or hear us on our next Rise to Your Purpose podcast.
Awesome. Thank you.
Rise to Your Purpose will be a weekly podcast. Our hope is to inspire and educate you on your entrepreneurial journey to help you fuel your passions, live your purpose, and build a business that works for you.
You can subscribe, rate, and comment on any podcast app. We'd love to hear from you. It makes us so happy to see you tuning in to the show. So if you're on Instagram, let us know what your favorite part of the show was by taking a screenshot of the episode you tuned into and tag us at Live Victorious on your story. Let us know what your favorite quote or takeaway from the episode was so that we can be inspired to keep creating content like this for you.
To learn more about us and get involved with our community of mission-driven entrepreneurs, join our Facebook group, Purpose Partners, where we partner together in faith and business. So until next time, build a business that works for you and stay in alignment with your mission.